This is Boyfriend, and I'm here to tell you about Hangover Destroyer, the only all-natural product medically proven to prevent a hangover. Go to Hangover Destroyer website, hdestroyer.com, write Happy Hour in the coupon code, and save a 30% off of Hangover Destroyer. Seize the dawn, y'all. Seize the dawn.
It's Happy Hour again from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com, brought to us today by Petite Pet Care. If you're going out of town or you have a crazy schedule, the folks at Petite Pet Care will take care of your pet in his or her own home. For loving care when you're not there, go to petitepetcare.com. Buy basics, swim and gym. A full range of swimsuits, workout and yoga clothes with style. The all-new Basic Swim and Gym is on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. And by Comic Con 2015, which is coming to New Orleans in January, the 9th through the 11th. Congratulations to Tina Cochran, who won our free tickets to Comic-Con on last week's show.
Way to go, Tina.
Yes, if you'd like to have a shot at winning tickets to Comic-Con, you can on this week's show. If you don't want to hear any more of this crap, just go straight to our Facebook page right now or our Google Plus page and find out how to enter to get your tickets to Comic-Con 2015. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limo or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour. A cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common, other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar. In this case, we're at Wayfare on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans, which is a restaurant and a bar that serves handcrafted food and spirits, where Chef Kevin White puts fine dining into a sandwich and bartenders put fine booze into a glass. Correct, ladies and gentlemen?
That sounds like some bullshit slogan.
And if you think that's just some sort of bullshit slogan, Andrew, it's not. Chef Kevin White was a chef with Mario Batali in New York before he moved to New Orleans and opened this restaurant and put all this fine dining experience into making these awesome sandwiches. Have you had one here yet, anybody?
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's had one. Donny?
Not yet.
Not yet. We have time today. So my guests today are in this order. Cindy, Donny, Boyfriend, and Andrew Duhon is here.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hey, man.
Andrew, how's it going?
Great.
Would you like to know a little bit about these people sitting around the table?
I would love to know a little bit about these people.
When? Like now?
Let's do it right now.
Okay, Donny Markowitz is a New Orleans musician and composer best known for co-writing the Academy Award-winning classic song, I've Had the Time of My Life, from the movie Dirty Dancing. Look at everybody's face around the table here. I know, isn't it shocking? He really did write it. Is that you did write that song, Donny, right? That's not...
Yes, it was originally I Had My Time with Your Wife. But, legal troubles and all that.
Right.
It was changed to I Had the Time of My Life.
What year actually was that?
It was 1987 was when Dirty Dancing came out.
So it really is a timeless classic. Because everybody around this table is different ages. Mm-hmm. And everyone had the same expression when I read that sentence.
Yes, even us old people.
Even the old folks? Yeah. It's amazing. And is it still getting played on radio everywhere? Is that how everybody knows it?
It's still as popular as ever, and actually the musical Dirty Dancing is coming to town next week at the Sanger Theater.
Are you serious?
For a few days,
Do you get free tickets to something like that?
Yes, I do.
Right.
I got 8 tickets for opening night.
All right.
Nice.
And where's it going to be? At the Sanger?
At the Sanger.
Has there been a staged version of it before, or is this the first one?
Yeah, it started 8-9 years ago in England, I believe, in London.
Do you have anything to do with that? Do you have to sign off on it?
Yes, I have to sign off and collect money.
Nice. So
Well,
every
other than
time
that,
someone
no.
buys a ticket, to the stage show, you get paid as well?
Well, there's a percentage of royalties for the song being in the show. So every time there's a performance,
Right.
I get about 3 or 4 cents.
Pretty good, right? So what about
Pennies from heaven.
What about something like, because it still gets played on radio, unlike
Yes, it
other
does.
songs. So you're still getting radio royalties as
It's
well.
still, but as you know, the way the music business is today with the streaming and everything, it's nothing like it used to be.
Right.
And,
Even for a song like that, that's just probably on every oldies station.
It plays all the time on the radio, but it's also on YouTube like 500 million times.
And no one gets a penny for that.
You make pennies for that. So
you wouldn't even
it's
get pennies.
kinda-
You get nothing for that, don't you?
It just ain't right. And I
Right.
got 4 kids, and it just ain't right what they done to me. What
You're
they
right.
done to my music business.
I've had 4. Just wait till you see them a little older.
All right.
You have no idea of
What's
the
going to happen?
expense. Yeah.
Did you write a hit song?
Save those pennies.
Cindy, did you write a hit song?
No, I wish I had.
Well, we'll find out about you in that in just a moment. Donny started out in New York as a musician, playing bass in a band called Speedo and the Cadillacs. He performed at places like the Apollo Theater, Radio City Music Hall, and the Roseland Ballroom, before winning the Oscar and moving to Los Angeles, where he spent the next 20 years writing for film and television. So he spent 20 years after that trying to recreate a giant hit song.
I worked my way from the top down. I started at the top.
That was
and
the
worked
first.
my way down.
Was that song the first thing you ever wrote for
It
a
was
movie?
the first song I ever had recorded on a record.
Oh my God! Could you imagine?
Wow.
And I thought it was just a college film called Deadly Dancing, and I didn't know really much about it other than what our direction was in writing the tune. And
What did they tell you they wanted? What were they looking for? Something
they
that
wanted
sounds
us-
like.
Yeah, they said they wanted a song that sounded like it could be happening in 1962 and also in the late 80s. And it starts slow, gets into a groove, and lasts for 5 or 6 minutes. That was the
Okay.
direction. And they said the movie took place in the Catskills, and I'd been there when I was a kid, so I knew the vibe of the film and all of that.
When you say you went there as a kid, Jewish people who lived in New York used to go to the Catskills.
Yeah, right.
For the summer holidays
Right.
or summer vacation. Did you do that? That's what happened.
Well,
to you?
we didn't go for some. Well, actually, my grandparents had a farm in Wallkill, New York, which is, I guess you could call it the Catskills, but we didn't go to the resorts. Like, I remember going there once for dinner or
Right.
something, and it was definitely a strange environment, even for a 6-year-old. You know, it was pretty weird, but it was, people dug it, and it was portrayed correctly in the film.
So they had these giant resorts, it's like high-rise buildings and swimming pools and like a sort of a Club Med type vibe in
Yeah.
the middle of upstate New York. I've only seen it once. It's all been these days. It's all been deserted.
It used to
It's
be
like a
called
ghost town.
It was called the Borscht Belt.
The Borscht Belt.
Yeah, and all the
Borscht
Jews
Belt.
from
Yes,
New York
the-
would go up there, and
Well, the entertainers would.
and the entertainers, and it was very Jewish oriented, and it's not in existence any longer.
What happened? Why did it fail? What happened to all the dirty dancing type world?
Disco.
Disco killed the Jews' vacation.
Yeah,
Is that a song?
it should be.
Yeah,
That's
really.
a great cue for your next hit, whatever it
Yeah,
was.
That's a country
Comes
song.
right
yeah.
in.
Is that really what happened? It wasn't disco. I guess it was international
I don't
travel or
remember
something.
because I was a hippie back in those days, and in
Well,
the
you're
late
not-
'60s.
You're not now?
No.
You've given up your hippie ways?
Yes.
It says here in 2009 you remarried. I
Yes.
guess you were divorced at that point.
I was divorced.
Just as well.
Yes.
Otherwise you would have been in a lot of trouble with the law.
I'm not a Mormon.
And moved with your family to New Orleans, a move which paid off last week. Congratulations, when you were nominated for a Grammy for producing a Bobby Rush album featuring Dr. John.
Beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
So it's a good day.
Yes, I love New Orleans. It's been great. We love it here, all the folks, and we've met musicians and people. It's just awesome.
Now, how do you go about winning a Grammy? Andrew can tell you because Andrew won a Grammy.
And that's false.
It's not. He always say, every time I say this, he says the album won a Grammy, but it was
It
actually
didn't.
your
It was
album.
nominated. No. It did
Oh, no,
not
we're
win.
nominated for a Grammy. I thought it did win.
Take
No,
the
man.
win.
Oh, God damn it. It
Where
didn't.
have you been?
How long ago was that? It was a whole year ago now.
Yeah,
Oh,
last
That's
year.
why I'm confused.
Yeah. Daft Punk won.
That's right. Daft Punk.
They
beat
won
you
like
out.
10. They couldn't give us one.
I don't even think that record was any good. Did you, Boyfriend? Did you like that record?
Not really, no.
Me neither. Did you hear it, Donny, that Daft Punk record?
That I did. I thought it was pretty cool.
Did you? I thought
No,
it was
I'm not
hyped
kidding.
up.
I don't even know what that
You
is.
don't even know what it is? Oh, my God.
Yeah,
How
I'm
could you
trying
not
to-
know that?
I'm trying to impress my wife, who hopefully will be listening, that I know
That
that.
she knows what Daft Punk is, but you don't,
She
is what
does,
you're saying.
yeah.
Okay, well, you need to pay more attention to her.
I do.
You do.
Believe me. I
Let's
do.
go there in a minute. Boyfriend, I'm going to tell everybody about you a little bit now.
Go right ahead.
Boyfriend is a New Orleans musician who has been described variously as a rap Bette Midler, the Carol Burnett of hip hop, and, quote, like if Alanis Morisette made a rap album. But the Huffington Post may have said it better than anyone, calling Boyfriend, quote, the sex-positive English nerd who defies every rap stereotype imaginable. Is that a good description?
No hyperbole was used in any of these descriptors.
No hyperbole. It says sex-positive. That's okay, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean exactly?
It means you're not afraid to talk about sex.
Okay.
And it scares people.
What would sex negative be exactly?
I guess to not talk about it in such
Okay.
a way as to repress it.
Okay, and what do they mean by English nerd? You're not English.
English major.
An English
I
major.
was an English major.
At what college?
UCLA.
Really? How'd you get to New Orleans?
By way of LA. I got tired of being somewhere that wasn't Southern, and I didn't want to move back home to Nashville. So I came here, which was foreign enough to feel far away,
Right.
but still drivable to
Why
home.
did you
and,
go-
and people
why'd you-
look at you in the eye here.
So you went from Nashville to UCLA to go to college, and you stayed in LA for a while.
I was there for 5 years.
What'd you do after school there?
I worked in production, actually.
In the movie biz, thinking you
The
wanted
big
to do
bills.
what? What did you want to do?
Well, I still do it at some level, which is help ideas become reality. So I worked in...
Are you in development?
I did work in developmental production.
Hey.
And now I just do it for my own ideas.
What movies were you working on?
Oh, I worked mostly in TV and live events, like PBS specials, like Beatles cover bands and
So
river dance.
So you're working on ideas for those things? People come into a room and say, hey, we have an idea for a Beatles cover band documentary.
Yes, and I mean,
What do you talk about?
to me, production is problem solving at every single level. You know, it's say that there's a short film that you're working on, because I also worked on short narrative films, and you really want a scene of someone dragging someone up a staircase because that means something to you and it's symbolic. But you can't find a house that's affordable, that's in a good location to shoot in, that has a staircase. So you have to find some other way to convey that visually. Is it a long hallway? Is it alongside a fence outside? And it's these sort of conversations about protecting this idea from budgets and egos and stereotypes and schedules and all of that, getting it from point A, the conception of the idea, to point B, the audience.
So
That's
you're talking
what
about
fascinates
creative
me.
solutions to practical problems. You're not talking about
Correct.
writing a screenplay or coming up with the...
Right, like at that
But that's
point I was
not
entering
exactly
it once the
development.
idea it was already kind of coming into existence. But now I get to make up my own ideas and make those come into existence, which is more fun.
That
for
is
me.
more fun. Did you know that you could sing back then in LA, or was it a secret till you got here?
Oh, it was a secret.
Really?
Well, I come from a family of songwriters growing up in Nashville, and
Do you
everyone in
really?
my family
You
has a
come- I
much
come
better
from a
voice
family
than
of
me.
songwriters. Have we ever heard
Yeah.
that sentence on the show before? I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. I come from a family of songwriters. Tell us about your family of songwriters.
Well, they're all creatives, professional songwriters, and I was kind of the
In
white
Nashville.
collar sheep of the family, as I deemed myself, because I was a paper pusher at some level, working
Right.
in production, and I was just, I don't know, doing the normal life thing, you know,
But what-
working
what are the-
using spreadsheets for my job instead of
So you were
chord progressions.
You were a rebel.
I was a rebel, and then I decided to join the family business and become an artist.
So what did your folks and cousins and brothers and sisters write in Nashville? Were they country music writers?
Oh, well, we span the genres. My stepmom is a jazz singer. My sister is writing pop in LA, and my dad's a country music songwriter.
Do we know any of their songs?
You would, my dad, because he's been in Nashville for forever, and he's had several number ones,
Okay.
like for Diamond Rio and Keith Urban and Tim McGraw and.
He wrote a Tim
all
McGraw
those.
and a Keith Urban and Diamond Rio hit songs. What was the what was the Tim McGraw one? Saying he's a
Well,
local boy.
I must stop you because
Okay.
you should have my dad on if you want to ask about.
We should have him on, sure.
Because I have a burgeoning career as well.
Okay.
Amen.
Well, let's talk about you. Let's forget about your dad. I'm not talking about him anymore. Where did I get up to? Boyfriend's debut EP, Love Your Boyfriend, Parts 1 and 2. Part 2 just came out, I saw yesterday.
Yes.
So good
Yeah.
job.
Thanks.
I don't think I've ever heard that anyone putting out a EP in 2 parts.
I decided to.
That's an interesting idea.
It was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah. Anyway, it says here, Love Your Boyfriend Parts 1 and 2, which is available wherever good music is streamed and stolen, right?
Indeed.
You can get it on Spotify and everywhere
RDO,
else.
iTunes,
Right.
all that good stuff.
You don't have to pay anything for it. You can just go hear
right.
it.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Features striking songs and inventive videos for tracks like Attention, a straight-out demand whose chorus is simply, look at me, I need some fucking attention, and Like My Hand Did, a song that tells the story of a guy whose life appears to unravel, quote, all because you didn't make me come like my hand did. That's a fair...
End quote.
End quote. That's a fair summary of those songs, right?
I think it's fair, yes.
It also says here that by day you're a school teacher.
Past tense, I was.
You quit.
I quit.
Good job.
I up and quit.
Okay. When?
July.
Nice.
Turn my back
okay.
on the
Just said
children.
screw those people. What little kids did you leave in the
Left
dust?
them crying.
Good.
What school was that at?
Fort
I
Knox.
did after school care.
Uh-huh.
And
Do these parents, or have your parents heard your songs?
My parents have. Yes.
What do
But
they think?
they're supportive. My mother's less into it than my dad. My dad has a sick sense of humor, so he's...
Yeah.
Right on
The
board.
songs are really great. We're going to
Yeah.
listen to a song in just a minute. First of all, I want to introduce you to Cindy Alsfeld. Hi, Cindy. Sorry to make you sit there in complete silence all the
No
time.
problem.
But I have a very extensive bio for you, which is 3 sentences, so it
I
shouldn't
know.
take me long. Cindy Alsfeld was a lawyer for 34 years.
Well, I still am, technically.
Why does it say was a lawyer?
Well, I don't know.
What, you
Semantics.
still are a lawyer?
I still am a lawyer.
Cindy
Have been
Alsfeld has been a lawyer for 34 years.
Yes.
Okay. What sort of law do you practice?
Well, I started out doing real estate law and a variety of things, and then I took a little hiatus from that to raise my family, and then went back and did regulatory work, which is,
That
trust
sound-
me, not the subject of any cocktail conversation.
Not worth talking about
It
regulatory
would
work.
bore you to a stone.
Really?
It's just,
Can you
yes.
give us one sentence about what are you regulating exactly?
I kissed the asses of every federal and state regulator I ever came in contact with.
Who are you being paid by? Who's hiring you? Somebody with a
Various-
business that wants to break the law.
various
and-
corporate entities.
Do you know anything
that-
about fracking or anything like that?
No.
So
No
what
oil
sort of-
and gas. Just
no oil.
mainly consumer protection type stuff.
Like
so.
what? So
I don't know, debt recovery, that kind of good stuff.
debt recovery.
Uh-huh,
What does
like-
that even mean?
Well, it's complicated, but it's boring, trust
Okay,
me.
all right.
That's why I'm not doing
Okay.
that shit anymore. So,
The hell with it. It was too boring. Did you get paid a lot of money for it?
yeah, decent amount.
Yeah, see, that's how they get you.
Yeah.
All right. It says here, too, that you've been a realtor since the mid-'80s with Jackie Clarkson Realtors.
Yes, that's my mother.
Your mother's Jackie
Clarkson.
Clarkson, the city council person. So you grew up in a political family
I did.
then. Wow.
I've run political campaigns.
You ran a
and-
political campaign for your mom?
Several.
Really?
And I've worked on
Okay.
every single one, but several I've had to come in. I've had to step in as a lawyer at times, so that's been
Because
fun.
after she put a foot in it and said something?
No, mainly people doing things that, we had to challenge, like dead people voting, people in the hospital mysteriously waking up out of a coma and voting.
But your
you know.
Wow.
your mom's a Democrat, right?
Uh,
I thought it was the Democrats that always got blamed for dead people
Well,
voting.
you can't describe us that black and white down here.
What do you mean?
Well, it's
You're either a Democrat or Republican or Independent. There's only
yeah,
three
but
choices.
we have some. It's a blue dog Democrat down here, so you're going to be socially pretty relaxed, even maybe to the point of being liberal, but fiscally you're going to be a little more conservative.
Jeez, I'm lost. Andrew, you following this?
I just vote, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't vote a straight party line
You
down
don't?
here.
What do you do?
Well, you look
You
at
vote for a
you like the
Republican?
people or you don't
If you're a
like them, and you like what they do or you don't like them.
But nobody runs as a Republican here in New Orleans, and nobody gets elected as a Republican.
Not in New Orleans, but the rest of the state. And my mother's been a Democrat her whole life, but she's
But she wasn't
she's a
running
very
outside.
moderate
She was a
person.
city council person.
Right.
She wasn't running
well,
outside.
she was in the House of Representatives as well.
Ooh.
So
She was?
the
In
state house.
The state house. I don't even know what that is. What do they do? Is
Well,
it?
it's a legislative
that's-
body for the state.
Right.
So yeah, so she did that. So I've done
Do
a
you vo-
variety of things.
Right. Do you guys both, Donny and Boyfriend, do you guys both vote here?
Yes.
I have.
Okay. So you both, whatever it's called, citizens.
I wouldn't call myself a blue dog.
Right.
Is that where those blue dog paintings come from?
No. No, I don't know. I really don't know, but I don't think so. No,
I thought it was a
or
yellow
a
dog.
Dixiecrat. They call them a Dixiecrat.
A Dixiecrat, I've heard that.
My mother
Yeah.
says maybe a Truman Democrat. I don't know. She has a variety of definitions for it. So I don't care.
So you and your mom are both realtors.
Yes, and we have another sister who does it as well. So we've done that. I started doing that, in fact, interestingly enough,
Yeah.
when the film and entertainment business first came here in the early 2000s. I was one of the first people who went knocking and begging to put up very famous people in their homes, to rent their homes, and I was routinely shot down. And
Why? People didn't want Tom
they
Cruise
didn't want
sleeping in their bed?
an actress who shall go unnamed
Who was
fell
it?
asleep with a cigarette and almost burned down something on Audubon Place.
Well, I don't think we
So-
can get away with unnamed at that point. Who was that?
Can we guess?
Well, it's
Yes.
reputed
Boyfriend.
reputed to be Courtney Love. I don't know.
Well,
Oh,
that's probably
perfect.
true.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's, she's
when
not
I
even a movie
approached
star.
friends on Audubon Boulevard to have their house used for somebody who was coming here to film the movie Ray, I was told no, we can't go through that again. So now people come up to me and say, please find
because-
someone to lease my house because I think I can pay the rest of my mortgage off.
Yeah, because they're paying what is
Yes.
it, like $25,000 a month
Yeah,
or something for these people's
unbelievable
houses?
stuff. So I've done.
So tell us about that. How do you find that? How does that person find you? So who would that be? Like
Well, I mean, my husband does the film tax credits.
Lanny.
Yeah,
Now,
Lenny.
we've had him on
You've
the show
had that-
before, yes.
My daughter is a
That
film
must be
and
a
tax entertainment
fun home
attorney.
to hang out
Oh
at
yeah,
your
it's
place.
a trip. And then my youngest son is actually in the business. He
Right.
has produced his own feature film, and he works. He's gotten into I think 11 film fests. And
Yeah, but let's talk about what happens when somebody comes to you
To
and
you.
says, I mean, how does who was someone famous who you had to find a house for example?
well, I haven't done it in a while. I mean, I was looking for Jamie Foxx at the time. So
That is a long time ago. You haven't.
Yeah.
That's the last person, Jamie Foxx.
Well, I'm trying to think if I've been
Ray was
asked.
about
No,
a decade
sooner
ago.
than that. I mean, more recently than that, but not a whole lot. People because you know why? Because people
No.
have actually stepped up and formed companies, and they do that now.
Oh, so they don't need you anymore. So
Yeah.
you're out of that.
I was just kind of a hometown person that did real estate, and you must know people, and I did, and I made phone calls, but. Now they're actual LLCs
Right.
that actually.
Well, what are
do
you
that.
doing all day now then?
Me, I'm cooking and gardening and, doing traveling. My husband and I travel.
Yeah.
I got back Monday from New York. I have a sister who opened on Broadway Sunday night.
Your sister opened on Broadway. This is turning out to be a bit of a star-studded show here.
She opened in Elephant Man, Patricia Clarkson.
Oh,
Patricia
wow.
Clarkson's your sister and Jackie Clarkson's your mom.
Yes,
Okay. Now we're getting somewhere.
yes.
So-
So I was in New York for the red carpet Sunday night. So that was.
How was that?
Who
How
did you
was the-
wear?
I don't know. I wore something that some press guy actually grabbed my arm and said, "You look fabulous in that dress." And I said, "Thank you."
Wow.
I'm going to faint from lack of carbohydrates and excessive use of a recumbent bike, but that's okay. So,
Did you wear Spanx?
I sure in the hell did, and I hope that woman's choking somewhere, that billionaire that produced them.
What do you, so you wear them regularly, Spanx?
God, no.
No,
God,
because
no.
we were just talking about Spanx before the show started. 'Cause
That we were.
Boyfriend wears them on the cover of her EP or album or whatever.
Every woman
Wear them
alive
often.
owns them.
Oh, definitely.
Whether or not they'll admit to it, yeah. And I hate them. I leaned to my mother before we went on the red carpet thing, and I said, I'm currently incubating a very large blood clot in my right leg, and at some point is going to travel to my lungs. So when you find me dead in the hotel room tomorrow, I hope all this was
Spanx.
worth it. Yes.
Yeah, you'll look beautiful.
So who goes to this opening night? You get to take your whole family?
Well,
Donny
yeah,
takes
we
us.
did.
Donny's got 8 tickets to Elephant Man.
Yeah, we had.
I mean,
we were all-
to do the dancing, and you had how
my
many to
family
Elephant
went.
Man?
Well, I'm one of 5 girls, so we were all there.
Everybody gets to go.
And my parents, and then
Wow.
friends, and just other
So how many
friends.
tickets does Patricia get? Who's
It
she playing?
depends. She
Who is
she
playing?
plays the actress who befriends Bradley Cooper
Oh,
and takes
wow.
him in and
Wow.
introduces him to London society.
That's a
So,
great
So she's
role.
got
it's
a
an
great
amazing
time,
theater production. It really is just amazing.
I
So-
read
So-
that play in 6th grade. It was a mistake.
Bradley Cooper is transformative. You
Too,
can't.
too soon.
Yeah.
He is, I was just watching Silver Linings Playbook before I came over here.
He's
Wow.
amazing. And there's a very wonderful chemistry with Bradley, my sister, and Alessandro Nivolo, who plays the doctor, who really is the constant factor in the production, and the chemistry is amazing.
How did they make Bradley Cooper unattractive?
Bradley Cooper makes himself unattractive in a very definite method that they employ. The doctor is giving an anatomy lesson to med students, and as he brings the slide up, which is the only prop on the stage, Bradley's standing there in period level underwear, which is kind of like some muslin, something that looks like a bloomer, and as they
Spanx.
speak, yeah. No Spanx on him, unfortunately. But he begins to contort himself to, he replicates what they're describing
Wow.
on that, on that slide. And then he continues to be in that contorted position for the remainder of the play.
Wow.
It's astonishing.
So for those of us who don't really know the answer to this question, this is this play about a guy who was born with some sort of hideous deformity,
Right.
some sort of cranial.
It's a
Elephantitis.
neurofibromatosis.
He's a blue Republican.
Yeah.
What's the actual name of it, Cindy?
I think it's neurofibromatosis is what he has. I don't know. I have a kid that's a doctor. I should ask him. But in any event.
How many kids you got?
4.
One of them's a doctor, one of them's a
Lawyer.
lawyer, one's a filmmaker,
Right.
and one's a realtor.
No, one does copywriting.
Copyright.
You don't have a bum to even things out?
Well, I don't know. Jury hadn't fully weighed in yet. So,
To be
you know.
determined.
No drug addicts,
Yeah.
nobody's been in jail,
No,
nothing.
God, Jesus,
Well,
help
good
me.
deal.
Where's something?
Okay, this is all wood. This is all real wood here, veneer. Hey, so this guy was born with a real person was born with
Right.
some hideous deformity.
And he was in a freak show, in a carny show,
Okay.
and was, brought to a hospital, and one thing leads to another. And this doctor really saves this man's life and provides him. He raises money to provide the man with care at a London hospital for the remainder of his life. And I read that he actually died at 27 of asphyxiation because his head was so deformed with these bony masses and things that the sheer weight of it when he laid down asphyxiated him. So
That's how
it's
Mama Cass died, I think, the same way.
just, I don't know, but it was
It was a Wayfare sandwich.
Was that
yeah,
Ham and cheese.
either that or a po' boy, So, but it's really it's an amazing show. And,
Okay.
And my sister is nude from the waist up during one of the scenes.
How does she
Oh,
enjoy
how was
that?
that?
That was a treat for my, for some theater goers. My father didn't
Yeah.
pass out in the chair,
Right.
which was, thank God,
Is that actually in the original play? Why would she have to do that?
Well, they're trying to show him levels of humanity that he's been denied because of his repulsiveness. And my sister does that, I think, as an act of kindness to show him that this is what a woman looks like. And, he touches her. I mean, touches her hand.
So
at
Bradley Cooper gets to feel her up every night.
He doesn't feel her up. He feels her hand. But she, the whole, it's,
Wow, that's a pretty good gig.
yeah, I know. But it's amazing. So.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
I am interested in this, seeing family members derobe on stage because I'm about to subject my own family to that if my career continues as it does, because I always strip on stage. It's rap cabaret is what I do. And I'm going to be performing in my hometown for the first time ever right near Christmas. And so it's going to be cousins, mom, sister, everyone there to see me.
Good luck with that.
And I mean, they know what I do. Did your sister sit you down and say, guys, you're going to see my boobs?
We knew. My mother is really actually very cool with that. She had they had done the
Well,
production
she's
in
seen them
Williamstown.
before, supposedly.
Yeah, I
so
mean-
she gave birth to her.
We all need to, grow up.
Are your
but-
boobs all similar, the girls in the family?
No, well, I don't know. I haven't done a fact check recently, but
Okay.
But my dad was actually pretty good, and the only time I think I've seen him freak out was when she did a film. She did a really wonderful film called High Art, and there was a lesbian sex scene in that, and he watched that, and
That must be tough for Dad.
we went to dinner after that, and he consumed no food.
Oh.
Martinis. It was like, ugh. That, and I had to sit next to my grandmother during Everybody's All-Americans premiere. And in one of the scenes, Dennis Quaid goes up under Jessica Lange's wedding dress, and face first, tongue out, and my grandmother kept going, "Oh dear God, oh dear God."
But
And she's the kind that went to a church on St. Charles Avenue with white gloves, and the other sister on the other side of me looked at all of us and said, "Thanks a lot."
But this well, you've been through this obviously with your family members. Do they just make a distinction between real life and a movie or real life and a play? I mean, can you get away with it, Boyfriend, on that aspect of it?
Yeah.
It's just a performance?
It is. And if they're losing themselves in your character, which is the way I tell my sister, I know she's really done an amazing job. I forget it's my sister, and I'm so enthralled with the character that I don't, she's not in the equation, I guess.
That's lovely.
So, Boyfriend, what's your deal? Well, you're doing it in a small club, I assume, somewhere in Nashville.
Well, tomorrow night is the Joy Theater, hardly small.
Yeah,
No, but I mean, when you go home, you don't care about here. But I mean, talking about when you go home and you got to face the mom and dad and the cousins.
Yeah, it'll be smaller, but it's there's the fourth wall, and it's even though I break it constantly to interact with the audience, there's a suspension of disbelief that I challenge people to bring to my shows that they might not bring to a typical concert. I try to make it more theatrical. I mean, my sister was interviewed recently about it. Because I come from a conservative, pretty religious family. Like, what does this feel like to you?
God.
And she said something similar. She said, when I watch her, it's not my sister. She's not there. It's someone else.
Well, you could feel the hackles when I watched my sister in Pieces of April, and she premiered it down here at Canal Place, and when at the end of the film, one of my daughters and I were sitting there, and we started crying at the film is phenomenal. And, we looked at it and, looked at each other, and I said, she'll get nominated for that. And she did. She got nominated for Academy Award. I mean, the whole genre of stuff, SAG, Golden Globe. So I have kind of like a hackles meter, and I can tell.
All right. Well, we should see what you think of Boyfriend's show. Let's take a listen.
I'll put you on the guest list.
Let's take a listen to something. What should we listen to?
Perhaps Attention, since you mentioned it before.
Okay.
And it is my current single.
Okay.
And
Do
it has
people still have
pretty
singles? What does a single mean anymore?
The thing I share the most, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The stuff that people steal or play the most or something like that. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a listen to it.
Love me now, 'cause I'm in it with you, baby. I'ma always be around. If you wonder what to say, then let your heart beat the sound. Heartbeat on my baby, saying, baby, you must on the ground. Touch me now, 'cause I'm in it with you, baby. I ain't running around, and I wanna make a baby wanna hear that sound. The heartbeat on my baby, beating, baby, get around. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Fuck me now. If you wanna fuck me later, then you fucking around. If you wonder if me, maybe come on, baby, make a sound now. Fuck me like you really mean it, fuck me to the ground. Sit by, be quiet. We live together, but the stillness is so violent. We live together, but it's like I'm on an island. You're miles away, and I can't take you flicking in the silence. And I wonder if you like my nails did. And I wonder if you like my legs spread. And I wonder if you like me at all. If you wanna touch me, take me raw. Go ahead and read and go to sleep and creep in. Don't you think you're kissing like you really need this? I got that thing, I got the link, and now the ring fits. You got me thinking I'm weak, I'm so independent. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Look at me now. 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 Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Look at me, I need some fucking attention. Trying to fuck me, but not love me, you ain't gonna get an inch. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look at me now. Look
What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
Donny,
I think it's got a great groove, and I can dance to it.
you could. Who writes? Do you write the music and play all the parts as well?
No, I only write the top line.
Which is,
I refused piano lessons when my mother tried to help me.
so you write the melody to that. Does it call it a melody in a rap too? I suppose it's a melody, right?
Yeah, I mean, the word I use is top line. Basically, anything that sits on top of the track. So sometimes it's a melody, sometimes it's just lyrics delivered via rap. But
Okay, so you're a sort of a poet.
sure,
So who writes the music and plays all the instruments there?
various folks. The new EP, Love Your Boyfriend, is entirely produced by a band called Sex Party. That's actually local here in New Orleans. And I wanted to do this project with them because they use a lot of like analog equipment,
Right.
which is not as easy to find these days. So that's actual, old keyboards salvaged from Goodwill, true hipster fashion.
Who is Sex
rerouted.
Party though?
Sex Party is, that's them. They
But, I mean, do they play out somewhere?
they
Or
they
just-
do. I think they have a show coming up in January. And they have a rap situation going on in their own right, and I've produced some of their music videos in exchange for them producing the tracks for me for
Nice,
this
that's
EP.
cool.
It was kind of a little artistic
Are they
swap.
playing the Joy Theater with you or no?
No, they are not.
So you make those cool videos that's why they're so cool, because you come from the film business.
Yeah, I'm very, very hands-on
Okay.
in an obsessive-compulsive way.
So I think this is a great example of what we're talking about, of a character versus a person, because you're nothing like Boyfriend, even though we don't know your real name.
Right. It's hard. Boyfriend, the character that you might see on stage, would not conduct herself very politely in a
In a nice interview sitting around
a situation like this. Yeah.
Right.
But I must be polite because I'm still climbing the ladder. But once I'm on top of it,
You guys can all go fuck yourselves.
the gloves come off.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Do you really, is this a character that you invented, or it just comes out when you sit down to write?
Both. I write other things that aren't
Right.
necessarily as aggressive.
What made you feel like this was the one that you wanted to put on stage?
This is the one that needed to be on stage. That has
For-
things to
for-
say that are important to their subjects that Boyfriend talks about are important to Boyfriend. They're important to me, and they're important to, I think, the demographic that I can represent.
So-
of people that maybe come from more conservative backgrounds but are trying to find themselves in maybe like a liberal arts
That would be
community.
like me, right? 60-year-old white Jewish guy from New York.
Exactly. Or I wish that's like my fantasy version of myself.
Really?
Is like
Donny-
oh yeah.
Donny is a
I know all
fantasy
about
version of
the
yourself.
Borscht. Yeah, I mean I
Okay.
took
We're
as
onto
many
something now.
Jewish fiction classes when I was getting my English degree at UCLA as possible, and
Well,
I
Donny
just
is not
dreamt
out of
go-
Jewish
going
fiction.
to the
He's a real-
Catskills.
Did you?
Yeah, but but that whole, I just really love that. Coming from a Christian background, I love that Jewish people can identify with a culture without it necessarily being tied to a religious dogma. You can be Jewish without necessarily being judgmental. Whereas I feel like the connotation of calling yourself Christian carries a little bit more political weight. And that's always been something that was a struggle for me growing up in a very Christian household.
Well, we're basically chickens, so I don't want to stir up the pot, right? But that's true to a certain degree. But there are tradition. It's a traditional religion, but there are religious, obviously.
Tradition. Is that what you mean?
Some good music. Dreidel, dreidel, dreidel. I made it out of clay. I was getting ready for Hanukkah,
Yeah.
My kids are singing that at home right now. It's really cool.
There aren't as many good Hanukkah songs as Christmas songs, though. That's one area where I'm thankful for my childhood of
Well, there's
repertoire.
some good, what's better than Adam Sandler's song about Hanukkah?
Great song.
What would a Christian person be who was a Christian but wasn't religious? Is this? I mean, you can be Jewish and not be
really-
religious,
right,
but what you're
that's-
saying is you can't really be
you
Christian.
can't
Why
really.
is that?
I used to hear cafeteria Christian or cafeteria Catholic. Have you heard
But
this?
there's a
Yeah,
undercurrent
I've
of
heard cafeteria
hypocrisy,
Catholic.
right? There's like if someone is that, you kind of think they're hypocritical in a way. Whereas I would never approach a Jewish person who identifies as Jewish but doesn't practice as hypocritical.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I used to get in the same beef when I was falling out of Christianity with my friends who only subscribed to the parts of the Bible they wanted. Like, well, I'm a good person and I believe that we should be kind to one another. And I was like, well, that doesn't make you a Christian. That makes you a good person.
Well,
You
what
know,
would I mean? I hate to say this, but what would Jesus do? What did Jesus Christ believe was a good Christian?
I'm so glad you brought this up.
He didn't have a whole church
God.
and dogma and a whole bunch of
Right.
bullshit. He just had some good ideas, which
good
were
idea,
probably
following the good ideas.
yeah. So couldn't you just be that?
I guess that's fair. For me, it's an association. You know, if you use that word, you're probably associating yourself with people you might not want to. It's a wider.
that's sad, isn't it?
Casts the net so wide.
Were you raised
It is
Baptist?
sad.
Were
No,
you?
Church of Christ.
Church of
I don't know
Christ.
what that is.
Next
Is
to
that
the first bank or
non-den-
something. Probably.
Pretty accurate. Yeah.
What is Church of Christ?
So it is it's a Protestant religion that is a spin-off, actually reactionary to the Baptist movement, because the Baptists were getting too carried away with their doctrine, and so it's heavy air quotes, a return to the original doctrine being the Word of God. So it's a very, very literal interpretation of the Bible, and of course it's some old dudes in like the 1800s literally interpreting the
So
Bible.
it's
It's still
fundamentalist or
yeah, so there's no here's a really great example that kind of can paint the picture for you. There's no instruments allowed, because there's a Bible verse that says,
Hang on a minute.
lift your voices up unto God. It doesn't say
You grew up in a household of songwriters that didn't play instruments.
that didn't play. Well, my dad's big rebellious move when he went off to college was to start a Christian rock band. Not to knock some girl up or to stop
Right.
going to church, but he started a Christian rock band, and that
I'm going
was
to play the guitar. Damn it.
sinful. Yeah, for Jesus, because you're not allowed to have instruments in church.
wow.
Because the Bible verse doesn't say lift up your guitars and your drumsticks to God. It says lift up your voices unto God.
So they take that to mean that you're not supposed to have an instrument
Correct.
at all.
That's like taking that's taking
Crazy.
liberties with the Word of God.
But that's bizarrely fundamental. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
because
that's that's fundamentalism
Yeah.
per se.
that's
right there.
to sort of
Yeah.
suppose that everything that's just one thing includes one word excludes everything else.
Right, and
Just
it's-
because it says voices, it excludes instruments.
Well, when I would get into arguments with my grandma about it, the example that she would give me to try and make it all crystal clear is say I handed you a $5 bill and I told you to go into the store and come out with vanilla ice cream. If you came out with vanilla and chocolate ice cream, you'd be disobeying me. That was the logic applied.
If the vanilla ice cream only costs $2.50, where the other $2.50
Right, math
bought
is
the
not
chocolate
allowed.
ice cream,
You know?
right?
Yeah.
That would be disobedient.
Right. That
Okay.
would be, because I didn't say go get vanilla and chocolate
Right.
ice cream. I said get vanilla.
Johnny.
Well,
But
there's elements in in Judaism that you can find in popular culture that may be considered different or extreme. For makes me think about the movie Bananas with Woody Allen, where he takes over and makes everybody wear their underwear on the outside. And that makes as much sense to me as not having instruments.
Well, one's a movie
there
and
wasn't
one's
a-
actually boyfriend's family.
Well, yeah, but it all comes from the same place.
We also actually
A
wear our
story.
underwear on the outside.
Outside.
Yeah, I know.
That's
It's
part of
just-
fundamentalist
Yep.
Church of Christ.
I think it's
Prophet Douglas Funny taught me that.
Do they still go to the Church of
I
Christ?
got it. I got
Thanks.
it. What was his character?
Quail
Quail
something.
Man.
Quail
Quail
Man,
Man.
Quail Man.
Yeah.
So do your family still go to the Church of Christ? Are they still into it?
Some.
Other than you?
Some. It's
You better tell them not to come to this show.
It depends. I mean,
my goodness.
my parents and I actually kind of fell out of it at the same time. It was a very interesting time because I was in junior high, early high school years, skipping chapel to call my dad from the locker room and talk about like Kurt Vonnegut books that we were reading that were blowing our minds. Whereas he's in his mid 40s, kind of going through the same mental process after he married a Catholic.
What took him so long, and you short-circuited it by 20 or 30 years?
It takes a long time for any indoctrination to fall away, if it does get to at all. It's
Right.
fear is the most powerful emotion, and it's the main tool that these type of institutions use to, instead of love, it's really, your guidelines are set up by
Well,
fear.
you've been through this, so tell us a little about that. What happens? What are you scared of when you let go of it that's going to happen to you?
For me, sex was the way that I exited, and it's very evident in my music. I have looked the way that I look pretty much since I was 9 or 10. Just maybe
How
it
would
was
you
the
just-
chicken finger hormones, but
I
I've
swear
had
that.
the boobies.
Yeah, my girls are like that too. We all theorize it's the hormones in the chicken.
Yeah, well, and I'm now vegetarian, so.
So you mean you had boobs early? That's what you're trying to say?
Yeah, and just
Okay.
more than boobs, a general care. I carried
like a
myself
woman
and my body
at
like a
10.
woman
Right.
very early. I got my period on my 11th birthday, the first day of 5th
On your
grade.
actual birthday?
On my actual birthday.
And what
Beautiful
age?
birthday
That
gift.
seems to be pretty common, though. You hear that a lot now. That
Yeah,
girls-
nowadays
girls
it's
are
earlier and earlier.
It's
Yeah.
a chicken.
It's the chicken.
I think
chicken.
I think in
It's
the
a crap
milk.
they inject. Yeah, they
Yeah,
put
in the milk.
hormones and all that
Milk.
crap.
Yeah.
It's the
Milk
milk.
and chicken.
There's hormones in milk and hormones in chicken.
Yeah.
And everything really. I mean,
BP,
it's all.
all the plastic bottles, all that crap.
So
all
we're
of
breeding
it.
a generation of women, of young girls who are becoming young women
very quickly.
years earlier than they should. How many years earlier than you expect to get your period at what age? Your parents' generation?
I think my mom was 15.
15. You were
Yeah.
11.
Which the difference between 11 and 15
Yeah.
is.
11,
My
you're a
mom
little
was
girl.
37. But she's, older. She's from the 30s.
Yeah. So the further back you go.
I don't know if she ever
Phyllis
actually
chicken.
had it.
You can't imagine your mother really ever having a period.
No.
No, come on.
Not something.
No,
you
it's
wanna-
disgusting, Graham.
I know. I picture my kids just uniformly going.
Yeah, really.
Working in the fields,
Bold.
bloody underpants is no big thing. Really, you know.
So when you have your period at 11-year-olds in a family like that, does anyone tell you what's happening? Does anyone have a conversation?
Yes, and that's the weird dichotomy about the way I grew up is that my parents, my immediate family, was actually quite liberal and open with me, and being a family of creatives the way that they were. But I still was sent to a Christian school every day and was sent to church every Sunday and every Wednesday, and it was kind of a disconnect between the environment in our home and the environment and these institutions that we subscribe to as where you go to get your education.
So your fantasy escape was being a 60-year-old white Jewish guy.
Well, that didn't come till college once I started reading Philip Roth. But yeah, it
What
was.
made you want to not become a novelist then and get this all down? Which it sounds like you could be a novelist.
Oh, laziness! It's much quicker to write a 3-minute song.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Did you want to be a performer too?
Yeah, I always performed in high school. I did show choir long before Glee was a popular show, and did the plays and all of that. So I've never felt uncomfortable on stage. It's always just been fun for me.
Right. Let's take a listen to another song. Would you like to hear another one, guys?
Yep.
Yes, Donny, you have a question?
I just have one comment to make about Nashville songwriters. They are so good that they can write a 3-minute song in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There's some truth.
Okay,
true.
How you like
music.
that? Thank you
It's
very
true.
much.
It's true.
So, boyfriend, what are you thinking? By the way, just to answer, I mean, this is a stupid question. I suppose you get asked this a lot, but why have you decided not to ever have anyone use your real name and just call you boyfriend?
It began because I was still actively working with the kids. When
Oh, so you didn't want
things
this,
started to take off.
you don't want
Yeah,
your
I
school
needed
kids to know
the
that.
difference.
Yeah.
And mystique.
Yeah, but they called you, your kids at school called you, whatever your name is, Miss So-and-so. Right.
Yeah,
So
I would have nightmares of coming into class and them chanting boyfriend69.com.
Well,
That's
somebody,
what I was-
boyfriend69.com is how to find you if we're looking for you. But wouldn't they find you? Someone's got to look on the internet, and they didn't.
Crossing the fingers.
They
not,
didn't.
Not yet.
Well, it doesn't matter now if you're not teaching.
Right. Well, it does. It still matters to me because I wouldn't want to have them feel betrayed that they thought they knew who I was, but in fact don't. Because
They
they're
don't know
not,
who they are.
They're
That's
not.
fine.
Yeah, and they're not old enough to understand.
How old are these little
like
types?
satire and commentary? I had 5 to 12-year-olds in the Trim A.
Can you explain to somebody, like you have to explain to your family and other people, that this is not really me, this is just a character I play on stage?
Perhaps.
But is
if
that
it-
true?
Yeah, I mean it's still coming from my
Good
brain.
question, Andrew.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that true? That's the whole
I
point.
think that's the whole. Yeah, it's the performance art part of it. It's that you're talking about the fourth wall, but we're watching something that I want to believe is a real part of how you're feeling, and that's completely real to me. It's more real than anything else.
That's fair because in many ways it is the more honest.
So this is really you saying,
Yeah.
look at me, I want some fucking attention.
Saying
And the
it
story
on
of-
behalf of the times that I think it needs to be said. Each of these songs was an attempt to join in the conversation about love that like every song on the radio's already been having,
Right.
and to just add my voice to the mix.
What about the story of the guy who couldn't make you come like your hand did? Is that based
Also,
on a
certainly
that's all based
from
on a true
experience.
story?
I think everyone who's ever had a lover has, at some point, felt unsatisfied.
And so how many guys out there now are listening to this song going, shit?
Are you asking for my number?
Oh my
Well, no, I want,
God.
how many guys are thinking, is that about me, is what I'm saying. Like when Alanis
I hope they
Morissette,
all are thinking that. Wondering. Leave them second guessing and they have something to prove.
when Alanis Morissette wrote that song, remember that thing, what the hell was that called?
Yeah.
What was it called about?
You ought to know, something like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess Jagged Little Pill, the whole album was kind of
Yeah.
that.
There were all kinds of guys who came out and said, oh, that's about me, or
The guy
some
from Full House, right?
Mhm.
Was it?
Yeah.
What's his name?
That was the word. Oh, what was his name?
Can't recall.
Dave Coulier.
Thank you, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Chris knows it. So that hasn't happened to you yet? No one's heard this and gone, oh, Jesus
No, but
Christ.
I can't wait for like some big internet story of like boyfriend.
Yeah.
sex.
Well, which
Boyfriend's
one?
boyfriend.
Let's listen to one. Which one do you want to listen to?
Let's hear Triangle.
Okay.
I
Chris,
think
do we
that'll be
have
an
that?
interesting mix.
Met this girl last Friday night. She was dressed to kill in a dress so tight. She was down to fuck, no front, no fight. She had good luck, I stayed the night. Saw her every night that week. Then the dates had lots to eat. Matching parts, matching treats. She my girl, she got my keys. Now we texting dirty pics. Now romancing, get the licks. Now we need a little dick. And now I seen you after it. Boy, I seen you passing by. Boy, you sure could do some try. We curious, we talking about. Now make this right and go to try. I like her and she likes me. Well, you like us, then we can be free. We can be free. I like her and she likes me. Well, you like us, then we can be free.
Walked up and I kissed her. Rock, paper, scissors, like scissor. Now we're in the condo playing drunk twister. Got your Mr. Rolling Swishers. My eyes look like someone passed away. Started getting faded. Now you kinda look like Anne Hathaway. Snapchat of me, dick pics, 666. Hit the light switch you got with Minnie. Yeah, right, bitch. None of it can leave no witnesses. I can probably show you what fitness is. I tie bow on top that dick. When I dip, you dip, we dip. I never blush, got Toys R Us all in my uterus. Choose this company, three's the crowd, but crowds ain't nothing new to us. Me and boyfriend making waves, I swear to make you mop it up. There's levels to the shit, we'll let you borrow the binoculars.
I like her and she likes me. Well, you like us, then we can be free. We can be free. I like her and she likes me. She likes me. You like us, then we can be free.
Wanna get you in the bed, wanna get you in the street, wanna get you in the back of the Beamer. Wanna get you a little hair, wanna get you a little treat. Once you get it from the back, you can meet her. Oh boy, you want to eat her? Well, first you got to eat this. Oh boy, you want to watch us? Well, first you got to watch this. Drop your pants, drop your smile, stop romance, we acting well. I got a chance, you got to stab, but have patience, we last a while. Lose that grin, we try to twerk. We all win when we all work. We gon' kill it, we get murky. It ain't no sin when no one hurt.
I like her and she likes me.
She likes me.
You like us, then we can be free. We can be free. I like her and she likes me.
She likes me.
You like us, then we can be free. We can be free, baby.
When I saw her at the bar, I knew it. Drinking whiskey on the rocks, my style. Couldn't pass it up, I did pursue it. Now we wanna go the extra. When we saw you at the bar, we do it. Drinking whiskey on the rocks, our style. And go wait around, come on and do it. Show us ladies what we missing out.
Oh
Yeah,
my goodness,
baby.
nice. What is it supposed to be funny?
It's clever.
Loaded question.
No, it's a lot of the
It-
lyrics are clever.
I think if you find something funny, hopefully you just laugh and don't question,
I think
Then
that's
it
how you
is.
get away with it because it's so
Right.
clever. It's funny. It's
Right. Well, I think that there's a huge tradition of that in rap, though. Someone can be dead serious, but they're still trying to slip a pun in.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to slip that pun.
There's a lot, but there's an element of anger in this sort of stuff.
What now?
There's an element of anger.
Yeah, it's meant to be a bit aggressive, an undercurrent of aggression,
Right.
hopefully.
But somehow it's tempered with some sort of intelligence, I suppose is the word. Is that right?
I hope so. I hope
Donny,
that's
what,
the
I
word.
what
would
are you
agree.
thinking?
I was just thinking that it's really good, and
Good,
that
I'm
the
glad.
whole, you're a character, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Boyfriend is a performer, and your approach is great and unique, and I think that your voice is happening.
Thank
and,
you.
Yeah, you can sing on that one. You were actually singing.
And I,
It's actually
it worked for me.
Good.
I mean, I used to do a lot of rap music back in the
Oh,
early
really?
80s when it was just drum machine and maybe a bass line and the rap. So it wasn't ever, there was never any music. It was just the rhythm and the rap. And I would say to the guys, I had a little MIDI studio back then. And so these kids from uptown would come to see me, and I'd program the drums, and they'd have on their school paper, their high school kids, their raps. And anytime I try to make it musical, they say, no, just bass and drums, that's it. And that's how it was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And then then it progressed to where we are with Boyfriend today, which
Right.
is a great.
And where you are, you have a beautiful studio over there at the Esplanade Studios.
Esplanade Studios is rocking.
What goes on over there? What are you working on?
Well, I'm working on, I do commercials, a bunch of jingles. I've got a new venture going with Le Petit Theater where Andre Robert, my business partner, and I are going to be putting shows on. We've got Dr. John coming to the Le Petit New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve 2014, if you're listening to this.
Yeah,
And it hasn't
come on down,
passed
get a
yet.
ticket.
Wow.
And it's connected to the Brennan's Restaurant Tableau over there, so there's just walk through a door and get loaded. Come and see the
I'm
show.
on that board. It's really fabulous
It's
now.
cool.
You're on the board of Le Petit. Did you know anything about these shows that Donny's putting on?
I've heard the
Yeah, it's going to
the
be awesome.
scuttle on them. Yeah, it's great, but it's a fabulous evening because
Yeah.
you can eat and see fabulous entertainment, and it's
So you can
so
actually
The
sit
theater's
down.
awesome. Well, it's so great to meet you.
yes,
We'll be working together.
yes.
So you can sit
Awesome.
down in a theater, in an intimate theater,
Right.
and
Right.
see a person play who
The
you
concept is
Yeah.
an intimate evening with so-and-so at Le Petit Theater.
Right.
Okay.
And there's no place like it in town. It's 370 seats. There
Right.
not a bad seat in there. And I plan on having people like Roseanne Cash has expressed some interest, John Oates from Hall & Oates, Bobby Rush is going to come down. So I want to do, and Boyfriend I'm sure will be performing there at some point. We want to have an eclectic nights.
What's the tech
I
writer
love
look
this.
like for Boyfriend? What are you rocking up there?
Posy vibes only.
Oh, just you and the vibes. All right, right on. Easy.
I actually saw Dr. John perform in Harlem just a month ago at a memorial for Little Jimmy Scott. And even though I was in Harlem, I had never felt more connected with the music of New Orleans than that moment. It was eerie. He was sitting right in front of me, in the pew right ahead of me, and I was... it's just New Orleans is one of those cities that's plugged into like an international network of culturally relevant places. That you can
Absolutely.
be somewhere as culturally relevant as Harlem and at the moment still be about New Orleans.
That's
It
right.
was pretty rad.
Irvin Mayfield was just up there playing with the jazz orchestra at the Apollo. And it was, I think New Orleans travels well,
I would agree.
and we aim to make it travel even better, and get this music out there and the theater and all
And
of
there's
that.
a wide range of stuff that goes on here, from
There's some
Dr.
of-
John to Boyfriend, and you could
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
inconceivably see them in the same
I
place.
mean, I love traditional jazz, and that's great and a powerful part of New Orleans culture, but there's great musicians and other actors and performers, street performers that need to be seen and heard as well around the world.
Absolutely. Boyfriend, what's the actual boyfriend scene for you? Are you dating anybody?
Boyfriend can't have a boyfriend.
Boyfriend can't have a boyfriend.
No. It'd be too confusing.
Yep.
You must be a pretty intimidating person to go on a date with, I would imagine, if you knew the music. Not if he just met you in a bar like
I
this,
think
he would think you're a charming young woman.
Those who encounter me in person after they've encountered me on the internet, I think, either cower or see it as a challenge.
Right.
You know, it's kind of like the gauntlet has been laid.
But if you're the other way around, if you met somebody like someone heard this interview with you or met you in a bar, they would have no inkling that you are this character, boyfriend. So they wouldn't be intimidated.
Hopefully not.
Has that happened? I mean, what order are you doing things in these days? Are you meeting people who already know who you are as a performer?
Yeah. Well, I just got off tour for 3 weeks, and that does wonders. You know, people just share with each other, and it was a southeastern tour, and each venue was kind of in conversation with the other venues at some level already anyways, and it's just a very small group of, you know, liberal arts educated 20-something people that tell each other about things pretty quickly.
But, so the three of you have all, Donny and Boyfriend and Andrew, you've all been through this. You're all performers who are popular and famous in different ways and different levels. Is it the same for you, Donny and Andrew, when you meet people and they know who you are and that changes things then?
No, it probably just means they met my mom at the grocery store or something. Yeah.
You have a lot of, that's not true, you have a lot of rabid fans and people follow you and
No.
they do.
There are a lot of older women.
Older women love you, is that right?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know, man.
It's the beard.
The beard.
What's not to love? Look at it.
Have you wait till you hear the songs? That, hey, you know what? Should I make you play
The
something
comforting
before we
voice.
get out of here?
I think we're all done.
I know, but I would love to hear you play something. I'd love you to play something for these guys.
I'd love to hear something.
Yeah,
Let's
come
play
on, Andrew.
something,
Let's do it.
Grant. I'm
It's
here
all-
every week, Grant.
I know, but I think these guys would like to hear you play something too, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Not really,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
but
appreciate the
you know,
honesty.
that's all right.
I got quotes from Kansas, told from California. Oh, whenever I leave a foreign land, I always take a little land along. I filled up tube sack with a handful of river rocks. Oh, when I leave a foreign land, I always take a little land along. All my life I've been picking up stones. I got 'em lined on my windowsill, enough to fill a wishing well. Or I could go down the road, name every stone for every time. Lately I've been wondering though, pockets filling up with stones, is this my way of trying to slow me down? I met a girl from up north like nobody I've met before. She's 20 karat gold. And all my friends are settling down, and all I've done is wander around. What will I build my foundation on? Oh, well, I've been picking up stones. Yeah, I've been picking up stones. I'll start with some coal from California, maybe some Texas shale. Might as well throw it on in with some limestone, some mudstone, grindstone. Grind it up with a little petrified wood. Bet if I could add a little water, let it dry good. Oh, well, I've been picking up stones.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay. That was worth it, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. That was a great tune.
Thanks, Joe.
Beautiful. There you go. That's been quite a songwriter day here today, hasn't it, Cindy?
Oh yeah.
I gotta. This one gets my vote for maybe the best guests.
Best guest ever?
Everybody was fun and interesting and cool.
Intelligent?
Yeah.
And had something to offer.
Yeah, I like
You're
this
right.
one a lot.
Yeah, good show. Well, I think we couldn't leave it on a bit of a higher note than that, probably, Andrew.
Nope. Yep.
Thank
my
you
favorite.
very much.
Yep.
So much. Thank you, everybody. Cindy Alsfeld, thanks for joining us. Along with Donny Markowitz and Boyfriend, otherwise known as Boyfriend. And we can find you all. It has links to all your work on our website, but if you listen to this and you don't have access to a website right now, it's boyfriend69.com.
Correct.
And Donny, what's your coordinates?
You can just look nowhere.
Nowhere?
I don't really have
Don't
any
even
coordinates.
You just have to
Off the grid.
I'm off the grid.
check out Le Petit Theatre.
Yeah, check out the Le Petit Theatre over the next few months. It's going to be awesome.
And Cindy, you're getting us tickets to Elephant Man when it comes
okay.
down here. All right. Thank you very much.
Sure
That's
thing.
been Happy Hour for another 60 minutes. My name is Grant Morris. Our show is produced by Graham DePonte. Our associate producer and technical director is Chris Kehoe. Christian Unruh is our music director. The theme music for Happy Hour was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. The fabulous audio quality of this show is brought to you in part by PreSonus Audio Electronics. If you'd like to be on our show and you can sit around a table for about 60 minutes, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, where you can also find out plenty other happy hours to listen to, as well as Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti live from Commander's Palace, Mindset with psychiatrist Dr. Nick Pajic, True to the Game with Chris True, Midnight Menu Plus One with Margot Moss and the Man Who Ate New Orleans, Ray Canada, and Louisiana Eats with Poppy Tooker. You can keep up with us on Facebook, on Twitter, and a bunch of other time-sucking social media as well. And all of it, we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our Facebook and Google Plus pages. These photos are taken by the fabulous Douglas Engel. If you listen to the show on iTunes or Stitcher or some other podcast app, thank you very much for subscribing. Stop everything you're doing right now and take 1 minute to rate and review us. That would be very kind of you, and it helps other people find us as well. Our show is recorded live today at Wayfare on Ferret Street, where they put fine dining into a sandwich and fine booze into a glass. Happy Hour is a production of Rhino Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. Don't forget, if you want free tickets to Comic Con 2015, check out our Facebook and Google Plus pages. For Andrew Duhon here and everyone else around the table, Graham DePonte, everyone here at Wayfare and everyone back at the INO office, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. We'll see you back here next time on Happy Hour.
All right.
Hi folks, Dirk Bentley here. Being on the go is a big part of my life. I love seeing new places, meeting new people, and performing all over the world. For energy on the go, for me, it's 5 Hour Energy. It works fast, works long, and it tastes good. With 0 sugar and 4 calories. Try it. It could work for your on-the-go life too. 5 Hour Energy. Energy on the go.
Get 5 Hour Energy at your local 7-Eleven.